Hello and welcome to the Travas Outfitter podcast. This is the first ever episode of the Travas Outfitter podcast. We didn't know what to call it, so for now it's the Travas Outfitter podcast. I have owner and entrepreneur Travas Uthe, owner of Travas Outfitter here in the middle, and the general manager of Travas Outfitter here on the end, Mike Fairchild. Well, here it is, guys. This has been an idea for a long time, and I can tell that you guys are pretty excited. I'm excited about this. Where did the idea to do a podcast come from?
I'll let Mike go.
Well, I don't know about the podcast, but we have a close personal friend, Pastor Luke Smith, who has wanted a Travas Outfitter reality show for a long time. He thought we should go on the road with the boot trucks and film what actually happens. Well, folks, that's not going to happen. Live and uncensored does not happen on the boot trucks. So this is, I think, the next best thing. So I don't know. It's just fun to be able to get out and tell everybody what's kind of going on, what's really going on behind the scenes instead of just what you see on the sales floor.
You know, I would agree with that. You know, for a long time, maybe as long as man has been around, people want to look behind the curtain, right? They want to see what's going on. They see what's going on outwardly, but they always want more. And I think now this is an opportunity for us to give our customers that, other people in our market area that. And, you know, when we started on our marketing journey a long time ago, Mike and I together, and maybe even prior to Mike coming on with us, I always felt like, and this is the wrong word maybe, but I always felt like you wanted to be perceived as the cool place to shop, right? And with everything that's going on in today's world, we can scream marketing stuff all day long. But I think that we've really have, to Mike's point and Pastor Luke's point, I think we've got a lot to offer people. I think we can offer a lot of different things to people that can be meaningful to them and a look behind the scenes. And I just think it can be really great for us. So I'm really excited that we've finally gotten to this point. Shane, thanks for your work on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe nobody's ever heard of Travas Outfitter. So for that person who doesn't know what Travas Outfitter is, could you both sum it up? I mean, I know there's a lot more than what meets the eye here at Travas Outfitter, but Travis, you started this in 2003, and then Mike came along. So what has both of your journeys been to getting here been like?
Well, you better start because this is Travas Outfitter right here.
I've been in the retail business. The 15th of June, it'll be 39 years I've been in the retail business. I know I don't look like I'm that old, but anyways, my former employer in 2003 decided that they were done, and I was engaged to be married to my second wife, and I had two young boys, and I knew that I had to be gainfully employed, and I love the work boot business. I was pretty well connected and still am in the work boot business, and I had offers to go to work on the road, but I just didn't want to be that far away from my kids, and so started this company. It's the old story. You started in your garage, but we started this place in December of 2003 in a garage. Moved into our location on Highway 20 in May of 2004. And then we moved into this big monster, 28,000 square foot store 6 years ago in July. It will be 6 years in July.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's been quite the journey. I started about 14 years ago. I can remember going into Travas Outfitter. Never been in there over on Highway 20. I was kind of like everybody else. Oh, they sell cowboy boots. But let's go see. Let's go see what's going on. Maybe you need some help. I go in there and I'm like asking for Trav, and everyone's like, I don't know. He's around here somewhere, and the staff's like looking for him. Here we find him underneath the Carhartt rack, underneath a bunch of bib overalls, and he's trying to fix how it's attached to the wall or something like that. And so that was my first impression of Travis. I'm like, well, this guy'll do it all, I guess. So we had a number of conversations after that, and I guess, you know what I mean? That's the rest of the story after that.
I think the exact words were, you need a manager for this place.
Well, I may have said that.
And so here we find ourselves. Mike, you've been here 14-ish years, something like that. This is 20 years for Travas Outfitter overall. I mean, what a journey from that little store to what it is now. And now we're sitting in an area that's not completed yet. This was kind of an idea that you had in mind when you first built this store, but didn't finish it when it was first built at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we did this deal, it was all chips got pushed to the middle. I mean, 6, 7, 8 years ago, we bought the land first. I had the envisionment of the land out here and worked hard to get the land bought. And then there were some challenges. The gentleman that we were working with at the bank decided that he was going to do something different. And we were kind of like halfway through the door, and the door was kind of slammed on us, and we couldn't get the thing financed. And Mike and I worked really hard for a couple of years to get it refinanced, worked with Gross, South Dakota. I can't say enough about those people. And so when we built this place, we had envisioned using this space all along, so we had them put floor trusses in here, but we just didn't have the dough to build the walls 6 years ago. And so as we go on these podcasts, you'll be able to see them. They'll get the framing done around the windows, and we'll get the doors in, and we'll have a lot of different improvements that folks will be able to see. But yeah, we've been very, very blessed. Our growth has been nothing short of phenomenal.
Yeah, and to just add to the point about, this space getting created up here, we're running this show today with extension cables and power cords and kind of just cobbled it together today. So, but yeah, you'll see in the future that this room is coming together, and it'll be a nice space for people to meet up here and for us to shoot this podcast and do a couple other cool things. So let's talk about what people can expect in this podcast. I mean, there's so many angles that we could go here on a podcast, and there's a podcast for everything. But in our meetings, talking about creating this podcast, what can people expect? Mike, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I guess we're going to feel it out as it goes. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Travis mentioned it, the look behind the curtain. I mean, we hope to bring in some industry experts, some from the big brands. I mean, if that's one thing we have over a lot of independents, is Travis has been in the business long enough. We have contacts with CEOs, vice presidents of $100 million brand companies that when Travis calls them, they pick up the phone. So hopefully we can get some of those men and women on. We've got great relationships with our vendors, but then also talk about some of the things that we do on a day-to-day, the things that you don't realize what's happening. We were just talking about it this morning. It's show season, and we're going to start booking spring of 25. So here we are. We finally got some nice weather, got out of the rain, but we're going to talk about spring of 2025. What's going to be the hot shoes and apparel already? So that's, our world sometimes lives 12 months ahead.
Yeah, I never noticed it so much. It seems like every year I get older, it just seems like it comes that much faster. I don't know if you feel that at all, Mike, but it seems like, God, we just had marketing today, and we were talking about what we're going to do in September and October for marketing. So, and that's good. You have to plan. We don't have a choice. But it makes your life just go that much. It seems like it makes it go that much faster because everything is all scheduled out. So, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. I think people think that we just go, we open up a catalog, we pick out the things we like, they come in, we hang them on a rack, and they go. It couldn't be further from that.
Yeah, and that's part of what this podcast is going to talk about is those processes. It's not just as simple as it looks, right? Mm-hmm. And there's so much more to it. What's one thing that 2024 we're talking about year of the blue collar worker. Let's just touch on that a little bit, what that means and what that means for Travas Outfitter and the city of Watertown and the surrounding area.
Yeah, I think Mike should speak to that a little bit. He was the one that kind of came to marketing, kind of came to me and said, we should think about getting back to our roots this year. So
I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, this business was built by the working man and woman. Whether you're in construction, you're in manufacturing, you're in the trades, you own your own company, you work for somebody, you farm, you ranch, you run a sale barn, you truck over the road, all of those different things where men and women get up and use their hands and work hard, run heavy equipment. That's what built this business. And so we don't want to take them for granted. Sometimes, they come in all the time, or they're longtime customers. Travis has been waiting on some of them for 25 years. Some of those customers were waiting on the grandchildren of some of those original customers. And so it's easy just to forget who brought you there. So we wanted to just recognize that and keep it right up in front of us. And besides, whether people want to admit it or not, Watertown, South Dakota is a blue-collar town. It's time Watertown embraces that. We'll be talking about that as well. What really are we, Watertown? I know we want lots of fun, fancy things and fine dining and Italian restaurants. I'm telling you, the majority of the working man and woman around here just love a burger and a beer. It's just the way it's going to be. It's a meat and potato town. It's just like it's brown 6-inch safety toe boots, right?
For sure.
I mean, it's a meat and potato area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some of my story, we can get into this another time, but some of my story, my dad was a power lineman, and he's one of my best friends, one of the best humans that I'll know this side of heaven. And so my parents didn't have a lot. My mom stayed home, but my dad was always hardcore about buying good stuff. And so I attribute a lot of that want to sell good stuff back to my dad, right? You can go anywhere and buy sort of good stuff, but that's not what we're about at Travas Outfitter. And I think that's another message that we need to share with the rest of the world, right? I mean, we have to buy some stuff to hit some price points. We know that. But that's not really the point of our spear. The point of our spear is these working folks that are our core customer, for most of them are wise. And so they want to make a purchase that has value. They don't want to buy something that 6 months later they just got to replace it, or a pair of boots that is insufficient for what they need it to do, or a jacket where the zipper goes bad, or it doesn't have enough insulation, and so that's the core of what we're doing. And I've always, and I think you guys will probably echo this, but I've always felt like core, common salt of the earth people, they know what value is. And they know when somebody's trying to blow smoke someplace. And so we've never been that place. We've always been the place that straight up, we're going to tell you. I had a guy in yesterday. I don't usually work the floor, which I can, but I was on my way out, and he's like, well, these are pretty good shoes. I said, yeah, they're pretty good shoes, but you have to understand what you're buying. He goes, yep, I know. He goes, I wouldn't go anywhere else and somebody would tell me that. He said they would just say, oh, these are the greatest things ever, and out the door I'd go. He goes, but you looked me in the eye and you gave me expectations. You said, if you want something more durable, you have to buy this. Well, I didn't want something more durable because I wanted to be at this price, right? That's the difference. And I think that's stuff that we can really talk about on this podcast as we go forward.
Yeah, and this is a local independent. For those who might not know what Travas Outfitter is, this is a local independent. This is the only Travas Outfitter. So if you want it, you got to go here or you got to buy it online. And we'll get into some of that too. But the differences of retail, and this could be a whole different podcast episode too. But you kind of touched on it, Travis, a little bit. What you get when you come to a local independent. We'll just say it's a Travas Outfitter, but what you get when you step in here versus a big box store brand or a big box store retail store, what are the differences, and why would what's the difference, or for a consumer, why would you go here versus somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you want to open that can of worms this early, Shane? I mean, we can go for it.
I think we got to stay, stay not very deep, but... Yeah, I mean, so here's the deal. The deal is that we buy purposefully. We don't buy just because these are the top 3 SKUs from this brand. We don't do that. We have brands that do that to us all the time. Well, you're not on the top 10 SKUs. Well, we don't care what the top 10 SKUs are. We care what the SKUs are that our customer wants. And we care what SKUs are that will work for our customer and will hold up for them and will give them good service and give them good value. So that's just where it begins. But, we've got an unbelievable staff of 42 employees here that we're like a family. People say that all the time. It's real here. I mean, I can't speak, I guess, for all 42 people, but most of our employees would say, Travis and Mike, they really care about us. We're more than just an employee. We matter to them. And you know what? That comes through. That comes through the employee. And I'll tell you, our customers can feel it. Our customers can feel that there's a difference. So that's just touching the surface.
You know, it was before your time. We first opened up that first year. You know what the biggest complaint we got on like Google reviews and social media from our customers?
I don't know.
We were following them around and we were giving them too much help. It's not even a joke. That's the difference. Our core customer that came over from the old store was smaller, and when we came out here, it opened up a whole new world. And the customers were coming in here and they're like, whoa, wait a second. Quit bothering me. Mm-hmm. Well, that's how we do things, because we want to make sure the money you spend is right for you. Not how much we can get, but like Trav said, the value. You get the most bang for your buck, that your shoes fit, that they're going to serve the purpose. And we want to help you as best as we can. And so that's been a learning curve. Mm-hmm. That was a big difference than what most consumers were seeing or feeling from other big box farm store type stores, that they weren't used to it, and it kind of weirded them out. Mm-hmm. But now they love us, so it's great. We just keep doing what we do.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's an experience, because before I worked here, I had come and visited, and I was like, oh, this place is different. You know, it's right when you walk in the door, you know, whether it's a tangible thing that you can see or feel, or the people. But I did notice that there was a difference, and now I work here, so that's great.
Yep.
I wouldn't have it any other way. So, no, that's awesome. And again, stuff that we can talk about down the road. And for this opening podcast, I mean, this is kind of just the intro, kind of a smattering of different things, and what people can expect here in the future. And we're looking at making this a consistent thing. Right now, this is our first one. It'll be released in early June, and then we'll follow this up with some other ones as well. And then we're working on getting this hosted on all the podcast platforms out there, so people can listen. But yeah, what else do you want people to know about this show?
You know, one thing we've talked about is our love for Watertown and the state of South Dakota. Travis lived here his whole life. My wife and I moved here in 1994, so we've been in Watertown longer than we were ever anywhere else. So this is our home too. And so, you know, we're gonna talk about Watertown. We're gonna talk about South Dakota and bring in some of the experts that know Watertown and know South Dakota, and talk to them about what's going on, and maybe get a look behind some of those curtains as well, and get them to open up and be like, what's the honest truth of what's really going on.
Yep. You know, the other thing, right now they're doing the H2050 visioning through the city. They did the H2020 back in 2012. And let's be honest, guys, we have opinions about that. We're not saying our opinions are better or louder than anybody else's, but we have opinions about that. And so we're going to talk about some of those things as well, right? And sometimes what it comes down to, folks, is we have to be satisfied with what we have, and we have to celebrate what we have. I heard this saying not long ago. I was on a cruise with my wife, a Christian cruise, and this one speaker said, if the grass on the other side of the fence is greener than the grass on your side of the fence, you ought not go to that other side of the fence. You ought to start watering your own. And I think about that. In this visioning process, I went last Wednesday night to a kind of a think tank deal, and there was so much of it there. And I'm not saying it to cut anybody down, but there was so much of that there. It was like, man, find what's good. Find what's good in Watertown, because there's a lot of good stuff here. And there's a lot of good stuff in South Dakota. And we experience a way of life here that people dream of. And so instead of being upset with what we don't have, we're going to talk about what we ought to be celebrating. I think that's another thing that I really want to come through.
And that's I was in one, a few days prior to that, and a big thing that came out is we have a lot of good stuff. We're just not communicating it to everybody. It's hard to find out. Who knows? Maybe this podcast could start letting that information out and communicating to the rest of the town, like, hey, there's some good things that are really going on and happening.
For sure.
So I think that'll be fun to get people involved from the community.
Absolutely. And Travis, you're a Watertown lifer. Mike, you've been here 29, 30 years. My wife and I, we've moved here in 21. So we have not been here a long time, but there was a reason that we moved here. Mm-hmm. And so very excited, from kind of a fresh perspective and outside eyes to have that view of Watertown and super excited. This is our home too. And we're excited about that. We wouldn't, there's a reason we live here.
Yes.
And so we're very excited about that. But yeah, as for this podcast, this is the first one. We'll wrap this one up. I'll learn how to edit. And then, we sometimes put the cart ahead of the horse a little bit, but that's okay. It puts a little pressure on me. I'll learn how to edit. We'll get this thing fixed up, and I'm very excited. I think this is an absolutely great platform and a medium to have our viewpoints out there, and like you guys said, bring some fresh perspective.
Yeah, I don't know about the editing, but from my standpoint, I think it looks pretty good, Shane. Hopefully there's not a lot of editing that you need to do.
Yeah, hopefully just post it.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, that's a wrap until episode 2. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Shane.